everyone picks the prospects who are going to become champions in the future, but no one talks about the fighters who will be the Dustin Poirier of the division. Who's going to be in that top 5, top 2 spot for a long time, but never actually reach their full potential?
These are the mans that we're going to look back on in 10 years and be like, so close.
Yeah.
So close.
I would say this was even harder than predicting champions, because champions, you just pick the best guy.
Yeah.
For this, you have to pick someone who's like in the middle, you know? And also, I feel like comparing them to Dustin Poirier is so unfair, because Dustin Poirier is one of one.
Yeah, he is by far the best fighter of all time to never win the belt.
Yeah. He is so good.
And no one on this list realistically is like his level.
Yeah.
You know, but we're just using him as an example. We're talking about the guys from every division,
yeah,
you know, that are looked at as contenders right now and, you know, and might be fighting for the belt. Like, I think most of these guys could fight for the belt within the next year or two, but just will never be champion.
Yeah. All right. Should we start off with flyweight?
Yeah.
Ish. Yeah.
Yeah, I got a few guys for flyweight.
Yeah. My number one guy, which is crazy to think that he's never won the belt, it's Royval.
Yeah. I just struggle to find a path for him to win it.
Well, I always think about him and Moreno in like the same kind of career path. You know, they're like same level of fighter. I feel like very competitive every time they fight. But Moreno had already had a career of winning the belt and that Figgy quadrilogy and, you know, the Pantoja fights. And he was just a little bit better and was able to keep that belt. Royval, even though he's beaten Moreno, it feels like he's just never going to have the right matchups to get to the top.
Yeah, if he would have came around a few years earlier, definitely could have been champion in that Figgy Moreno kind of era, because like you don't have 4 fights, however many stupid fights they had with each other, you know, without wanting to throw someone new in there, and that could have been Royval. You know,
that's true.
And he's just at a point right now where we have Pantoja, who's so dominant.
Yeah,
you know, and then whenever Pantoja leaves, I think you have guys who are very dominant grapplers coming in. You know, we have a guy like Tatsuro Taira, and I think eventually a guy like Muhammad Mokaev comes back to the UFC.
Yeah,
you know, it'll happen.
It has to.
And those guys are both like elite grapplers, and it's like that's where I think in a rematch a year or two down the road, Taira gets the better of Royval.
Yeah, I could see that.
Because age is on Taira's side at this point, not on Royval's side.
Yeah.
So I just think, like, timing-wise, he's just one of those guys who just never got, never had the right timing, you know, in his fights.
Yeah, I could see that. Do you have another person for flyweight?
I got 2 more. I got the two power fist strikers, Kai Kara France and Manel Kopp. I think they're very similar.
Interesting.
You know, I just think that Pantoja's that good.
Yeah.
You know, that, like, yeah, they both have that power, but Pantoja is that good. Also, he's not like he's like some chinny flyweight.
No.
You know, like that dude's chin is held up, you know. Obviously, with age, it's going to slowly start to get worse. But at this point, like someone who has as good of a chin as Pantoja, I think he can hold up eating a couple big shots in those fights, hopefully, and just bring both of them down. You know, and I think that's easier said than done, especially against a guy like Kai Kara France, who has unreal takedown defense. But Pantoja he's just a winner. You know, he has just won in his career, you know, and he's so dominant right now that I think that those guys are both looked at as potential guys to win the belt within the next year, and I don't think either of them actually do it.
Yeah, I also had Cap on my list because I think he's gonna be looked at, if he doesn't win the belt, he's gonna be looked at as one of those guys who had all the potential in the world and all the skill in the world. It just didn't line up, whether it's for matchups or he couldn't get his training together and, you know, couldn't lock in. That's what I'm trying to say.
Wasn't dialed.
Exactly. I feel like Cap is definitely that kind of fighter where, you know, he could be champ, you know, he has that skill, but who knows if he's ever going to actually take it seriously.
Yeah.
You know, he takes the press conferences seriously. That's about it. For bantamweight, I picked, I think this is a classic old head pick, Sandhagen.
Yeah.
You know,
he's the pick.
He's a guy who, if you ask the wrong people, they're going to be saying, oh, this guy's the best striker at bantamweight. You know, he can out tit for tat Sean O'Malley. And it's just not true anymore. You know, back in the day, there was that question of, oh, he's flying the Frankie Edgar, and you know he could do the same to anyone, and he's so tactical, and the game plans are the best, but like he just doesn't have that that final push to get to the title.
Yeah, he's one of those fighters that, like, ever since I started watching, I've just never actually been sold on him, you know? And I think that I was never sold on him, and I think especially in the summer when he lost to Umar, I was like, oh.
Such dominance, too, from Umar,
Yeah.
you know?
Like, it's just kind of like he is glazed. I don't, like, you know, like, I think that that's not the right word, but that's the word that came into my head because of his length. Oh, his build. Build means nothing. You know, he is a great striker, but it's just like, it's all he is.
Yeah.
You know, and he's just not the best striker in a division full of unreal strikers.
Yeah, we talk about like intangibles. I feel like he doesn't have any.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't have the most insane power. He doesn't have the most insane cardio. He doesn't have the most insane heart. Yeah. He's just like a very good fundamental fighter, a creative striker. I'll give him that. But when you go up against people who are just absolute warriors like Peter Yan and who can put the pressure on him, I just don't ever see him getting to that belt.
Yeah.
Especially with how good bantamweight is at the top.
Yeah, his time is over. Like, he's gonna.
But there's still people that will swear that he will get the belt.
Yeah, like give him Merab. He hasn't fought Merab yet.
Yeah, like I saw a video he posted where he's like, "I am a bad stylistic matchup for Merab. Like I can beat him." I'm like,
no, bro,
not at all.
No, I think also a guy could quickly throw in there. Chiwiwi never gets it done, unfortunately.
Bro, I don't think anyone's picking Raw Roasted Jr. to be the champ.
He's so young.
So young, so much potential.
So young.
Yeah, no.
All right, moving on to featherweight. This is a guy. He's not high yet, but you know he's looked up as, in terms of the rankings, the biggest up and comer in featherweight. I have Lerone Murphy. Yeah. I'm just not completely sold on him. You know, I think that you'd hope to see a little bit more out of these fights that are in the 15-ish range inside of the rankings, and then like the fights that are just coming in. And in that Dan Ige fight, I just didn't love what I saw. I thought he looked good, but he didn't look like a dominant future champion.
No, not at all.
Especially in a division where you have so much talent at the top with whatever's going to happen with Ilya, and then you have those two guys who are both still young in Lopez and Evloev, who are going to forever be probably in those 1 and 2 spots behind Ilya, as long as Ilya's there. Like, and then you have guys coming up like Gene Silva.
I don't know why, but if you think about all the champions right now, they all have more compact builds. You know, Pantoja, bantamweight Merab, featherweight Ilya, Makachev, Bilal, Dricus. Pereira is really the only one who has a really tall build, and he's an anomaly.
Well, like even John Jones is small heavyweight.
Yeah, well, and I was thinking Tom Aspinall, but you know, Tom Aspinall's a wide guy.
Yeah, they're not tall.
So I just don't like tall fighters right now. It's just not the vibe.
So who are you talking about here?
Well, I was thinking for you, Lerone Murphy.
Oh yeah.
Like I just don't love his length and his kicks. I just don't think it's the style that's. I'm talking about like a fitness trend. It's just not in right now. You know what I mean? There's just too many good grapplers to take him down.
Yeah.
I actually couldn't really think of anything for featherweight because Lerone Murphy's really the obvious guy. And then other than that, it's just too stacked up top.
Well, and it's also tough because this division, like,
it could change in an instant.
The second Ilya leaves, it's different. But I think that Lerone's the one guy that truly doesn't have a shot. You know, eventually Ilya will be gone and there'll be an interim belt there, you know,
or a real belt.
Yeah. And Lopez versus Evloev.
Yeah. I will say Evloev was close to getting my pick because I see so much glaze for him online. That Dagestani fan base is really strong. And he's not even Dagestan. So just the Russian fan base. It's very strong. And I think they talk about him as if he is the most dominant ground fighter they've ever seen, where he doesn't have any submission wins in the UFC, any finishes at all. And he has a lot. He has a couple split decisions, not 5. Ilya said he has 5 split decisions. That is not true. He was talking out of his ass.
Have you fact checked that?
Yeah.
Okay.
He doesn't have 5.
Because was the Sterling fight a split?
No, it was unanimous.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it was unanimous, but it was a very
close.
Very close.
You know,
fight.
He's not winning. He's not actively winning these fights.
You're going to a very close. Where I actually had Aljo winning that fight.
Yeah,
at
I did
the end.
too.
I had him winning on my scorecard, but to go to that life and death with Aljo, who's a 36-year-old
bantamweight.
Yeah, it's not looking great for you. But he's still undefeated prospect. So
But I think when you have the well-roundedness too in the featherweights, it's not like you have one-dimensional kickboxers.
That's true.
You have Diego Lopez with this like crazy striking with this jiu-jitsu base. You have Ilia Topuria, most potentially well-rounded fighter in the UFC. You have Gene Silva, who is so much power, but he's also has such good grappling.
Yeah.
Evloev's going to struggle.
Yeah.
So
sure.
I that was definitely a guy I considered. I just thought that the rest of, like the other guys on this list are a little bit more of a shoe-in than Mobs are. Like, because realistically, he could go out there and he could lay on Lopez in a title fight for 25 minutes.
For sure, yeah. All right.
Lightweight, I had nobody.
Lightweight, I did not have anybody either.
They're all too old.
Yeah.
But moving on to welterweight.
This one is where I have quite a...
Yeah, I got 3.
Okay. Well, let's talk about it then. I got Ian Gary first.
Ian Gary's so tough.
No, this was my most confident one. Because he's one of those fighters who is young enough where they're going to be fighting in that top 7 for so long until he's 34 or whatever. But I honestly don't see him ever beating a JDM or a Shavkat or a Bilal. I could see Leon maybe. I just feel like his striking has gotten slower since he started getting really good at jiu-jitsu with Charles.
Here's my thing with Gary is that I think that he's forever going to be pushed by the UFC.
Yeah, maybe.
The UFC sees him as like their golden child, welterweight. And I think that he realistically has maybe 2 or 3 championship fights and he just wins one of them, Like there's a chance that he gets it. I think that he's going to get more love from the UFC than the other guys that I have on this list.
I just think welterweight's too stacked.
It was so tough. He was so close to making this list, but like, would I be surprised if Ian Gary is a one and done champion? No. Like, he realistically go out there and he could...
Well, he almost got an interim shot at 310.
Well, yeah, and he almost got that weird submission on Shavkat. Imagine Shavkat's a champion, he gets that same choke and chokes him out. You never know.
Yeah, that's true.
Next guy got Joaquin Buckley.
I also have Joaquin.
I just not sold on him.
Yeah.
We talk about this all the time. Neither of us are sold on him. He does kind of fit that modern champion of not being like skill wise that great, but just being freak of nature. But I think that
it's tough to like say.
It's just there's so many guys.
Yeah.
So many people at welterweight.
I would pick a lot of people over him to continue to defend their championship.
Yeah.
Belt, he's still young, but he's had a lot of losses like there's a path to beat him. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? He's not like a Shavkat or, a Carlos Prates where there's so much aura behind them where it's like, oh man, how do I beat this guy? It's almost like, if you were to go up against an Ilia Topuria, where it's like there's no game plan for how to easily beat this guy. Yeah. That's what it feels like for a lot of the welterweights right now, until it actually happens. Yeah. But for Buckley specifically, that with the right game plan, and he's been KO'd multiple times, like it's 100% possible to beat this guy.
KO'd multiple times at a higher weight class and then cut too. It's not like he got KO'd and went up in a weight class. That does affect him. Yeah. And also like people, they think about the clips and not the fight. I think that like obviously he looked good in the Colby fight, destroyed Colby. Yeah. Like, Colby really didn't do anything in that fight. But Stephen Thompson fight.
Yeah.
Besides that KO, I didn't love what I saw from Joaquin Buckley.
Couldn't really take him down very easily.
Yeah.
Striking was difficult for him. Yeah.
Next guy, this is only saying this because he's in the top 5. I don't know if anyone's saying that Sean Brady's a future champion, but...
It's too easy for me. It's too easy of a pick.
Yeah, like that one just seemed like it was free. Like, no one should believe Sean Brady's a future champion.
Yeah.
There's 8... I think I counted yesterday. There's 8 welterweights better than him right now, or 9.
In your opinion.
They were all tame takes.
What about middleweight? Do you have any?
2.
Okay, I have one for middleweight. It's Bohalyo.
Wow.
He's good.
Yeah.
But if you look at just the boxing, like I think Imavov beats him there, and Imavov has good ground game. The middleweights who are coming up are so well rounded now. They're not like Izzy. They're not like Anderson Silva. They're not. Whitaker was well rounded, but he was kind of one dimensional on the feet. Had that blitz, and that's about it. So for Kaio, the defense is lacking, and Imavov hits hard.
Yeah.
And Dricus hits hard. You know, it's not a Cannonier does too, but Cannonier's 40. It's not it's different gravy up there.
Yeah, he struggles against any championship fight he has because, I mean, realistically, for the next 5 years, Well, I mean, 5 years is so long. 3 years, you know, and the point where right now where he's at the top. You know, he has the most momentum he's ever had. Champion's either gonna be Dricus, Hamzat, or Imavov, and all three of those guys are so tough for a guy like Barajo who just lacks the defense. You know, and we've seen it before where guys who just eat strikes, it just doesn't work out in their favor unless they're unique and different. And Barajo's not different. He is a big middleweight. You know, he looks big. He has jiu-jitsu and he can strike, but like we haven't really seen elite anything from him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fair.
He's also in a division with Hamzat Chimaev.
Exactly. That's about half of the reason.
Yeah, I also have Imavov.
I think he could be champ, honestly. I don't know. He's young, bro. He's 28.
I think the thing is too with it is like what happens with Hamzat.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Hamzat gets sick, vacates the belt. Imavov is right there. Dricus is also 31 though, so it's like Dricus could. I think I would take Dricus in an Imavov fight, but you never know. Imavov could win.
Yeah, Dricus has the potential to be middleweight GOAT.
Yeah,
which is wild.
I was almost like I'm like I feel like it's closer already than people think.
Yeah, it is. If he beats Hamzat, it's close between him and Izzy.
Yeah, I think that Izzy, just that win over Pereira, is real good for him.
It is.
But
Dricus has beaten so many people on the way up.
Yeah.
And Strickland twice and Izzy.
And who knows how much of it's recency bias. So, but like, you know, like we think about the fight that just got inducted into the Hall of Fame, Kevin Gastelum. I'm like,
yeah, come on.
How great of a win is Kevin Gastelum compared to like
a little fat gremlin?
To Robert Whittaker, Sean Strickland.
Yeah. And Izzy does have a win over Robert as well.
Yeah.
But it's like,
and
Izzy isn't that far out of his, like, Izzy should not be out of his prime. At middleweight, 35 should still be your prime at middleweight.
Yeah. Like at least the end of it. Tail end of it. Not
a destroyed
downfall that he's on.
Yeah. So I feel like Dricus getting a win over Izzy should still matter a lot. You know, especially a finish.
Yeah. Light heavyweight time. A guy that we've gone a complete 180 on. I was completely sold on this guy 3 months ago. Then he fought and I realized he literally can't even get through the first round. It's Carlos Ulberg. I just think that he would struggle against a guy like Ankalaev. I think he'd struggle against a guy like Yuri. I think Roundtree is tough for him. And then, I just don't. And he's also not that young. He's 34, 33.
He might be 33.
Yeah.
Yeah, none of the guys I had light heavyweight are young anymore, though.
No.
So I went with Khalil Roundtree. I think they're in the exact same spot in their careers where they're one big win away from in that top 5 or even top 3, especially with Jamal Hill kind of sliding now. The only problem is I think Khalil Roundtree, as long as you can make it out of those first 2 rounds with him, you probably have a good shot in a championship fight.
Yeah, and who knows how he approaches this championship fight.
But like,
there's also a lot of unpredictability in light heavyweight about like Pereira.
Yeah.
What happens there?
Yeah.
You know?
And there's not that many prospects like light heavyweight's weird because there is prospects that we've talked about like Aslan and Mingyang Zhang, but light heavyweight's a weird division where they could get sparked in their next fight and it's like, oh yep, they're gone. Yep.
See you later.
Exactly.
They're bulking up to heavyweight.
Like Justin Taffa, you know what I mean? He's gone now. The Taffa brothers are sailing back to the Pacific Island.
Moving on to heavyweight, Srad Cyril gone. I don't think he ever becomes champion.
Well, he already has been interim, technically.
Get out of here.
Well, but so is Dustin Poirier.
Yeah, we're talking undisputed.
All right, undisputed. That's fair. I definitely agree with that. There's no way he beats Tom.
And like the way that they push him and they just want him so bad.
It's ridiculous.
They give him every single interim title shot.
He doesn't.
He might have the most interim title shots of all time.
He doesn't care about the sport anymore. It's clear.
Yeah.
He was walking out of the arena before his name got announced as the winner.
Yeah. Like you own that. Don't be a little B word.
Yeah. It's
own
crazy. I actually went with Pavlovich because he had so much aura and this guy was literally, if you asked any UFC fighter, he was going to become the next champion. He could beat John Jones because he had so much power and he was a killer. And then now he's in a position where I guarantee you he will never be champion.
No.
There's no shot.
Yeah.
And also rip Rosenstrike. That's so sad.
Yeah, that's such a weird move.
Yeah. Biggie boy.
Well, is Rosentrick on like some big contract? Like I don't get it.
Waka, All right. Anyways.
All right, that's going to wrap it up for us today. Go down to those comments. Let us know who are some of those fighters that you think will never be champion, like the Diamond Dustin Poirier. While you're down there, make sure you guys are liking and subscribing. We appreciate all the love and support. And we'll see you guys next time. Peace.
See ya.